Hi everyone, and welcome to And So On. This is a bit of a surprise, I know, but I sewed up the Tilly and the Buttons free slipper boot pattern this morning, and I thought it was so great I had to share it with you guys because I think some of us could probably use a little bit of last minute Christmas gifts that'll only take an hour or two to do, and I think this is the perfect project. So let me show you the one I made this morning. It's on my foot, so I'm going to take it off. Look how cute these are. Aren't they adorable? So it is a little bit tricky in spots. Certainly the instructions are great on the website, and if you want to just go to the blog, you can certainly do that, and I'll link it below. But sometimes it's nice to see something in person, right? So the first thing I'll say is err on the side of smaller rather than larger when you're picking a size. So these are supposed to be, for the ones I'm wearing now, we're supposed to be for a size 7-8, and I'm a full 9, and they're actually a little bit big on me. So, maybe size down if you want to, and I could probably, comfortably wear socks under these as well. Secondly, pick your fabrics. So you need an inner fabric, an outer fabric, and some wadding, which in North America I think is the same thing as just quilt batting, okay? So I picked for my outside, I used a thrifted pair of men's jogging pants, gray jogging pants, and I got 2 pairs out of this. So I think they were double extra large. They are brand new. They still had the tags on them, even though they were at the Valley Village. And yeah, I got 2 sets. So that's my outer fabric. It's just gray sweatshirting. My inner fabric is flannel that is left over from the nightgowns that I made for my daughters, and then just plain old quilt batting. The other thing I did that was different is I have 2 quilt batting layers rather than just 1. And I did that because I do feel that it gives it a little bit more cushiness that you want in a boot. So we have 4 pattern pieces for this, and that is it. So this is the base, this is the slipper base, and this base you need 2 of your outside fabrics, 2 of your lining, and 2 of the batting, or in my case, 4 of the batting, because I wanted it to have a little extra cushiness to it. So totally up to you. The next one is the toe. This is the front toe of the pattern, and you need 2 lining and 2 outer fabric. This is the back panel, 2 lining, 2 outer fabric. And then the last one is the front, and you need 2 lining and 2 outer fabric. So to start, I did a little bit in advance because I didn't want you guys to be totally bored watching me sew. So what I did first was I took my outer fabric for the base and I just basted it to in my case, 2 layers of quilting batting, because you just need this for later. Now, for a lot of the other steps, you're trimming the seam allowance to half. Don't do that with the base. I learned that in the first one. Sometimes you see, instructions for one thing and you just kind of do it for everything, or at least I do. So keep this with the full, very thick 5/8 seam allowance. So the next thing I need to do is I need to attach the toe pieces to the front pieces. So the front piece is sort of the little more square rectangle. And then this is the toe piece like this. So if you can see this, I'm going to take this edge here, I'm going to turn it to the side, and I'm going to attach that to the corner of my front piece. And there are notches on all of these pieces, so make sure that you've done that. So here's my center notch, and my center notch here, so I know that I'm on the right track. I'm going to do the other side first because I find if I do side and then center, I get the most even stitches. And now I'm going to match my center notches. This. And then you can see it's a little bit awkward, right? Because there's sort of extra fabric. But if you just drape it a little bit and give it a little bend in the fabric, you can get it to match up quite easily. Okay, and then this one too, I'm just going to give it just a little drapey, because of course that's what it's going to do when it's a toe, right, is it's going to curve. So that's why there's that ease in there. It's not even really easing because you don't have to stretch it or anything like that, but I find just folding it a tiny bit. So now I have 4 of these. I have 2 in the lining and I have 2 in the sweatshirt fabric, and I'm going to sew up all 4 of those. So you might find when you start to get towards the center of the toe, there's extra fabric on top that is kind of making you nervous. Make sure that you do put the toe part on top as you're sewing. And all I do is just every once in a while, I lift my presser foot and I just kind of, with the needle down, lift my presser foot and kind of smooth out the upper fabric so that I don't get any pleats or dimples in my sewing as I go. So just lifting it up a little bit, smoothing it out a little bit, just through the center section. And that will keep everything nice and flat. So next we're going to attach the back panel to the front panel on one side. And again, we have notches, so make sure that you're going the right way so that your notches match up. This is pretty straightforward. We're just attaching side panel to front panel on all four. The only thing I suggest is where the toe piece meets the front piece that we just did, I would suggest that you put a pin there holding open the seam allowance so that when you come to it, it's flat and you don't accidentally sew it to one side, because you want to keep that seam nice and flat. Okay, so I'm going to sew all four of these together. So we've got, I'll show you the front. We've got the toe piece attached to one of the side pieces. Okay, so now I have the back panel attached to the front panel and the toe. I'm again going to press open, I'm going to trim this seam allowance to half its size and press it open. Okay, I'm going to do that on all four pieces. I'll be right back. Okay, so now everything is lovely and pressed. My seams are pressed open, and I'm now going to attach the back to the other side. And I do this on all four, but one thing to note is on the lining fabric, you want to leave a gap of about 2 inches on both of those lining pieces, not on the outer pieces, only on the lining pieces, because that's how we're going to flip it inside out and have it nice and fully lined in one piece. Okay, so I'm going to do that now. Okay, so I have now the other side. It's now starting to more resemble a boot, I would say, and I am going to trim and press open all of my seams. Okay, so now that that is all pressed, it's now time to attach the base to your boot. So you want the outer part of your boot to be inside out, and you want to take right sides together, take the notches that are on the base and on the boot, match them up, and then we're going to pin all the way around, matching notches as we go to get all the way around this boot. Okay. So now we're going to stitch all the way around and attach the base of the boot to the body of the boot. So there we go. There is the base attached to the outer. I'm going to trim all the way around, and then I'm going to flip it inside out, and you'll see what it looks like. Okay, so I've turned it right side in, and you just want to finger press in the seams. Just work your fingers into the seams there. And we have the start of our boot. How cute! All right, I'm going to do the other one, and then I'll be back to talk about the lining. Here comes the tricky part. Okay, so now we have 2 outer boots, and we have 2 inner linings, and now we're going to attach one to the other. So the first thing we need to do is have the boots right side out and have the lining inside out, okay? So we're putting right sides together, and we're going to slip this lining directly over top of the boot, okay? So we're matching toe to toe, heel to heel. What we're going to do is we're going to sew around the top here, and you want to match side seams and notches all the way around, and I'll do that right now. So I do my 2 side seams first, and I open up the seams so that they're flat against each other, very much like quilting if you're a quilter. And then I'm going to take my inner and outer notches. I'm going to match those together. Okay, last one. And I've matched all my notches and my side seams. You might laugh at me because of the way I pin. I'm a lefty, so I do pin a little bit differently, I think, than a lot of people do. And now all I'm going to do is I'm going to zip around this edge with a 5/8 inch seam. Okay, so I've now attached the outside of the boot to the outside of the lining. So we're right sides together at the top, 5/8 inch. At this point, you can understitch if you want to. I want to be able to turn down my boot, and so it doesn't really bother me that the lining is showing, so I'm not going to do that. So next what you do is you just take this and you pull it so that you've got it straight like that. So we've got this fun thing. But what do we need to do last? We need to add the bottom of the lining, and that's where we need this little hole here that we've left behind. So take this hole and just pull the foot part through like this. I'm going to turn that foot part all the way forward so that we can now attach this to this. I'm going to show you again, even though you can rewind. Okay, so we've got this flat piece here, and we're going to use this hole that we have, that we've made, and we're going to reach through and we're going to pull through the toe piece and pull it all the way through so that we can access this entire foot piece. Okay, so I have pinned now all the way around the foot. It is attached. I've pulled it through here and I've matched up all of the notches, and I'm going to zip around here and So I'm going to zip around here and then I'm going to trim and press. All right, last step, and we get to see how it looks. So I have gone all the way around here, and so now it's all attached. Now I'm flipping back through that little hole that we had and making that nice and flat. You can give that a press as well, but I like to just sort of finger press it so that it's nice and flat. And then you want to sew up this little hole. You could, of course, blind hem stitch it, but it's a lining on a slipper boot. I wouldn't worry about it. All I did was I just held this tight together and just edge stitched it with a 1/8 inch seam allowance from just before where the hole is until just after where the hole is, and back stitched at both ends. Okay, so now once you've done that, I've finished that here, and so now we have this funny looking creature. But once we push the lining back inside the boot like this, and you want to kind of feel so that you've lined up the lining of the foot in with the toe and the back, like that. Not that you can see it, but I can feel it. And voila, you have these adorable little boots with the lining all in them. They're so comfy. You could put non-stick dots on the bottom. I've seen those at knit stores. You can also order the fabric that has little dots on them. But honestly, if you're using sweatshirting, I don't find this very slippery. I've been wearing them all day. And if you think about it, socks don't have non-slip things on them, and we wear socks all the time, right? But you can also get puffy paint at the dollar store and do some puffy paint and let that dry. Pinterest has lots of ideas for that. But anyway, this is really fast. I've made 2 of them today, and it's my very first time making them. And I think that if you wanted to, you could get an assembly line of these and get several pairs done in a night. Anyway, so that is it. 2 boots done. Not a very long time. I think you could easily get an assembly line of these going and do a couple pairs in a night, no problem. I think this is an awesome pattern offered for free by Tilly and the Buttons. So make sure to go over there and thank them for that, because I just think these are absolutely adorable. And I do wish they had them in kids' sizes, just saying. I think I'm probably going to try and figure out how to size these down. Can't be that hard to make them for my girls. But these are done, and they're awesome. And I hope that you enjoyed this last little gift before Christmas. I'm hoping that maybe you'll be able to use it. That's why I was kind of rushing to get it done. So I know the lighting's not great and whatever, but I thought if I get this up today, then maybe someone will be able to use it in time for Christmas. So I hope you enjoyed. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Let me know if you're going to make some below, and I will see you guys soon. Bye-bye.